Today we're at Cactus High School for the Arizona Robotics League. Last season, the Arizona Diamondbacks Foundation and Honeywell invested in this playing surface that you see behind me to give first robotics teams in Arizona a chance to practice their skills during their off season. And to come and see it today is absolutely incredible.
The Arizona Robotics League is a place where teams can maximize the use of their resources because it is a free event. All teams get to participate for free, and this is all thanks to our sponsors like the Arizona Diamondbacks and Honeywell.
We are hoping that these events combined with our regular season stuff really inspires the community to keep their programs around for a longer period of time, and we can overall grow STEM in Phoenix and all of Arizona.
All right. Hi, everyone. Normally we wait 5 minutes before we start, but I didn't realize that that Interstellar score video was going to play the same part of that one track over and over again. So here we are. I had to cut that. I had to close that out early. It was starting to drive me nuts. Good evening, everyone. I hope wherever you are, you're dry and you're not getting monsooned on. I'm currently getting monsooned on down in Tucson. So if the internet just craps out, I'll be back, and it's because it's pouring on my house right now. My name is Luke. I am one of your ARL program directors. This is the ARL warm-up show, a quick look at the ARL July qualifier that's coming up this weekend at Cactus High School. As I'm sure all of you know, this is the Arizona Robotics League, an off-season series. That's cool, I hope. Chef is already dropping some legendary AZ robot numbers in the chat. We're going to take a look at some of these because honestly, I'm solo tonight and we're just going to party. We're going to have a good time. There are so many robots coming this weekend that our normal way of like covering each team, I'm just not going to do it because there's too many. So we're just going to quickly take a look at all of them and hit on a couple key storylines. And yeah, sure, I have some predictions, not that they mean anything. And then we'll dive into some fun conversation, which I kind of want to do an off episode, you know, not a warm up or an extra inning show where we talk about some of these. So I'm kind of using the chat right now as a survey. Like I want to do a deep dive episode on some of the legendary AZ teams because us boomers have so much like historical Arizona knowledge that some of our students now don't have. Like they don't know about 842 in 2013. They don't know about the crazy jungle gym climb. They just don't know, right? So it's a cool. You know, I think maybe if you attended the last ARL, you noticed that in between some of the matches, we had some kind of like AZ history type videos. And that's just because I don't want AZ history to kind of fall away, right? I think it's important to keep plugging these historical things. And honestly, 2013 is still the FRC modern era in my eyes. I think 2012 and forward is pretty much the modern era. You could make an argument that 2011 is also part of the modern era, but I think for most like visual games, 2012 and onward, in terms of like the new game style, 2012 and onward is like the FRC modern era. I don't know. Hope everyone's doing good. We can take a look at the team list. I don't really have any big news. If you are in if you're in the chat right now and you are attending this weekend and you're a trip or a team planner, like you organize your team, the schedule for this event's going to run the same as it did the last event. So if you weren't at the last event, essentially lunch is going to run an hour earlier. So instead of lunch being at 12, lunch is at 11. So for 11-12 instead of 12 to 1. So if you need to order food or go pick up food for your team or kind of delegate that to a parent or someone, just know that lunch will be from 11 to 12. Those changes are reflected in the handbook. So if you forget what I just said, it's in there. I suppose I should do my due diligence and plug all of our social medias. We have a Instagram, a Facebook, an X. We have an X, although we're just going to keep calling it Twitter, I think, like everybody else. And I'm not changing that logo in the overlay because I'm not doing it. So we have a Twitter where we'll throw out lots of X's or whatever we call them now. Most importantly, I think for all of you, we have a YouTube. YouTube's going to have all of our matches from this season uploaded, as well as the past ARL warm-ups and the extra innings episodes. So if you miss these episodes, or you want to watch a past ARL match or scout a team ahead of time, you're going to find all the videos there. So go please head on over there and drop a subscription. That would be cool. And follow this Twitch channel. That would be cool too. I don't think I'm forgetting anything else. It's going to be hot this weekend, so please make sure your team brings plenty of water. There are a couple of grocery stores nearby, so if you want to stop by in the morning or after you drop the team, most of the team gets dropped off, and run over and get a couple cases of water. That would be my suggestion. I did mention already that we're going to have an insane number of teams for ARL sense there this weekend, so just know that the seating in the stands might be a little bit cramped. Please, let's just do our best to fit everyone. I think we'll do just fine. But just as a heads up, as well as the pit area is going to be a bit cramped because we want to reserve as much of the cafeteria as possible for you to have lunch in, so you're not eating outside. So just be aware that there may be some pits in a few new locations that there haven't been before, just so we can keep as much space in the cafeteria as possible. So let's take a look. Without further ado, let's take a look at the team list. This is it. Look at all these numbers. And look at how many B's and C's and B's teams. I am so impressed with the teams in Arizona, with y'all coming together and cranking out these extra robots, because that's what ARL is all about. Honestly, and I'm quite excited. Right, we're increasing the number of swerve drives we have in the state. We're increasing the number of students who get time on to drive the robot on the field, which I think is just as important. And looking at specifically this team list, we have a lot of. I'm really excited for playoffs. I think we'll get to it when we talk about maybe some of the pairings we'll see in a limbs, but we have quite a number of potential alliances that could put up pretty good scores, and alliances that can oppose them, right? Like, this might be our first event where there are two. You're right. All right, so -1. You got me. -1 on this list. Listen, here's the deal. Slide Guy is gone. Or busy, one of those two. So yeah, all these mistakes are mine. But bear with me. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So 2-2-4. So we can fix that, right? Oh no, Lord. I guess I can't. One of it doesn't matter. We're seeing some teams for, like, historically powerful Arizona FRC teams, right? Kind of making their ARL season debut. So we do have mentioned in the chat, we have 2-2-4-7-8s. It's actually just one, but Westwood is coming to their first ARL event of the season, as well as 64-79 Aztec, and 38-53 Prytronics, who had a really great season last year, and did very well in ARL at the ARL events. So I'm excited to see them at their first event this year. We do have our regular powerhouses and some returning favorites, right? We have 2403, 498, 3944, 6413. All of these teams have competed already, and they've done very well. We're missing 991, who won the last event. So, I'm guessing they're taking an event off, and they'll come back for their second event in the fall, which is totally understandable. And we dive into some of our B's and C's. I don't know if you guys have been in our ARL Discord, which I guess I forgot to plug that. We do have an ARL Discord. It's in the link dump that Arheo put in the chat. But it's been kind of popping off. It's been really great to see the interactions in the chat, in the social. And it's been awesome seeing teams drop their robot progress. 1165 particularly is kind of smashing it. They have 3 robots coming, all doing distinct scoring things, like different scoring. Like, it's pretty awesome. So, mega pats on back to everyone at 1165. I'm excited to see the three robots competing this weekend. So I don't know. What do we think? Before, like I said, there's so many, I don't really want to dive too much in, but we certainly can. 2403 has won 2 in a row now, and honestly, they looked even better that they have all season at the last ARL event. Right, they're scoring cones and cubes pretty much at will. We have Westwood coming to their first event, and Westwood certainly got better over the course of their events, right? Didn't qualify for champs, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of changes they've made between the season and ARL. As always, they bring a machine that's capable of scoring, right? So it'll be interesting to see if they're using the off season as an opportunity to train new drivers, or if they slapped on swerve modules, or if they kind of change the design a little bit. That'll be interesting to see. 3944 is a returning dark horse, right? We know that the 3944 crew always kind of shows up in our gamers, and we know from last season and even the last ARL event that they're always going to be right around there, and it seems like they're just close to breaking through and ranking in the top 3 or top 4 of the event. So yeah, there's a lot going on. 6479 is another team that is a swerve drive robot. It scored really well. They were only a couple matches away at Arizona West from ranking 1, right? They were right up there towards the end of the day or the middle of the day on Saturday, and a couple unlucky things, right, robot wise and team composition wise, dropped them down a bit. But they have the capability of scoring cones pretty much anywhere, right? And cubes the same way. So if the robot can keep itself, if the robot is keeping itself together, I'll say, and the driving gets tightened up a little bit, I'll expect to see them near the top as well. Some of our higher numbered teams, 8021, they're a swerve robot that impressed me a lot this season, taking that step up from 2021 or 2022. Sorry. They could pick up cubes from the floor and score them anywhere. So, that's impressive, right? So, I would expect to see them maybe. If the alliance competitions are good, see them in the top 4, top 5, right? Because if they can just fill the lower grid, I expect to see them in playoffs for sure. Maybe on the tail end of an alliance. We mentioned them already, but Prytronics. Tank drive this year, in the regular season, tank drive on their robot rather than last season's mechanism drive. What the heck? Sorry, Windows Defender got me on that one. It'll be interesting to see what changes they've made. They were also capable of scoring cubes on any level of the grid. I don't quite remember the cone situation. But I do know that they did favor the Alliance stations, so that'll be a storyline to look at. I think this weekend we have a lot of powerful teams, Arizona-wise, right? We have a lot of good scoring robots, but they pretty much most of them are most effective when they go to the double substation, right? So it'll be interesting to see how teams deal with maybe 2 or 3 of them clogging that area up and slowing the whole team down. What does that third robot look like on the Alliance? Are they sniping things in the middle of the field and playing defense, or are they just playing strict defense and staying the heck out of the way? It'll be fascinating to see. I think I have some thoughts. We can get into it. We have a couple swerve drive only robots, defenders coming back. Unless 2375B has, unless they built something up over the past month, and if they have, that's very exciting. We have 2375B and 6413B, both swerve drive smaller robots that are going to push game pieces into the community and play swerve defense. And we know that defense and specifically swerve defense can be very effective. Now, how effective, I'm not sure. I don't think it's as effective as it was last year, for instance. I think this year it's just because of where the safe zones, like where the protected zones are, it's very difficult to shut down a team for a prolonged period of time. And last year was much easier because you could just swerve around them in circles, right, and just annoy the heck out of them. Yeah. One team I didn't mention, 6352. By the end of last event, they were cooking. I know that they have a kind of a bigger arm and bigger end effector on the to pick up cubes and cones. But they were a really valuable piece of their alliance, and they have a good auto. So I think just in general, this event's going to come down to whose autos are either still tuned from the season if this is their first ARL event, or whose robot doesn't break down in the middle of the day, and they rank high enough so they can build the correct alliance. I think this might be one of the more rare ARL qualifiers, and maybe this is just how it is going forward, because I'll tell you what, the registration numbers don't get any lower than this event, right? It's only getting higher. This might be historical context, a rare ARL event where scouting is really important. The alliance you build might be very important because it seems to me that all 4 alliances can field 3 robots that score pieces. So we'll dive into that right now, actually. But yeah. And then after we talk about our predictions, and if you have your own predictions, toss them in chat. If you're excited to see, a specific team, or if you've heard, some changes a team has made, let me know. I'm excited. I want to talk about it. So this is those are here, my predictions, right? So I have 2403 ranking number 1. Oh, you can't even. Oh yeah, you can't see them. Good. I have 2403 ranking number 1. It's hard to argue against the the 2-time winner. And when the event where they didn't rank 1, they weren't scoring cones, and now they're scoring cones. I expect to see them at the top. If they're at the top of their game, they're at the top. Right behind them, though, I have 1165A, right? The cube scoring robot that we know from the regular season. This robot has just gotten better and better and better and better with every event, and the autos have gotten cleaner and better with every event. And without a ton of qualification matches, right? The extra RPs are so important. And if you have a robot that can just fill the lower row of the grid just every time, you have a really good chance of winning every match and a really good chance of ranking very high. They were kind of in control of their destiny at the last ARL, and here they are again. I think they rank, shoot my predictions down already, I guess, but if they're not ranked 2, they're a captain. I think they're a captain. I think that the two, the ARL experience they have already, I think is going to go a long way at this event. Taking up the captaincy of the 3 seed, not necessarily ranking 3, but taking up the captaincy of the 3 seed, I have 498. Things are a little different. Whether they work better or not, I couldn't tell you. So we'll see. But that's a realistic expectation to have them there. And then rounding out the top 4 captains, I have 6352 launch team. Again, I think that the previous event experience goes a long way for these captains. You notice I didn't select a captain that hasn't competed already. I think that ARL experience, I think that gives you an edge in some ways, right? Understanding fast turnarounds or not a lot of qual matches and kind of staying locked in all day, or how to strategize quickly because of the fast turnaround. So I think that goes a long way. Now, Alliance composition is really exciting to talk about, so I'm gonna nerd out for a second. But we're all nerds here, so it's a safe space. Alliance composition is really cool to talk about. So I have 2403 taking the Aztecs, 6479 with the first pick. If we remember back to Arizona West, the Aztecs were one of the few teams at the entire event who were capable of scoring a high link by themselves, right? And I think that for ARL competitiveness, being able to solo a high link and have swerve is pretty big, right? We know there are teams that can solo a high link, right? We saw 991 do it last event. We saw 2403 do it last event. We've seen 6413 do it. But like that's kind of it. Like relative to the number of robots in Arizona, soloing a high link is pretty rare. And I think the combination of that with the swerve, I think is a big boost for their chances of getting picked up by Plasma. And that's why I have them there, right? You can see, you can just kind of like see it, right? You can envision it on the field where, Plasma's picking up cubes from the floor maybe, while 6479's taking the open lane to the double substation to pick up the cones, and they're kind of just working their own grids down, right? Once you get to playoffs, who cares about the center grid, right? Like I think points wise, if you just work your own grid down, right? If 2403 and 6479 both take a left and a right, or a middle and a right, whatever the case may be, and they score their top link and they work their way down to the middle link, right? Like I think that's a really good strategy. And then something else happening, filling the low grid right after they finish those two things, which I think Plasma could do right super well. Even if they sacrifice a little bit of speed, right? I don't know if 6479's gotten faster, and if they have, that's even better for them, right? So I'm excited to see changes that they've made. I completely agreed with the chef in chat. I think fast balancing teams are a huge plus. I think we saw a lot. I mean, we've seen it now in 2 straight events, but we've seen teams leave RPs on the table. Leave RPs on the table during qualification, and certainly leave points on the table during elims by just not balancing, right? And I get it, right? As a drive coach, I get it, because you're scoring game pieces to the very end, and but how do you balance? How do you balance balancing? You just have to commit, and you need to designate someone pre-match. Obviously, someone has to be the setter, right? So if both robots are going up, and you guys are doing the weeble wobble, someone has to know that I'm not touching the sticks anymore. And someone has to know that I'm controlling this whole thing, right? Because if you're both trying to micro adjust, there's no way you're balancing quick at the end, right? That was a big thing this season in playoff matches and elims or quals, especially at champs, right? It was like designating someone as, you are the robot that's going to set the table for us. We're all going to kind of get up there, and we're going to be doing all, doing the teeter totter, but someone has to be designated as that robot that's going to balance the bridge. So huge suggestion. I don't care if your team has a break. I don't care if it's in break mode. I don't care if it's tank drive. I don't care if it's swerve drive. I'm going to be honest with you. Balancing is not that hard. It's not. You just need to, if you're not good at lining up, you got to get there early. If you're not good at balancing, it's because you got to do some more work in the pre-match huddle to say, like, I'm going to drive up and I'm going to let go. And then it's on you or me to balance the thing, right? It's one of the easier end games that we've had in years, in a really long time, maybe ever, to be honest, maybe ever, in terms of a high value end game. And def teams, like, we're leaving points on the table. So that's something I'm glad Chef brought it up in chat, because I definitely want to see across the board a lot better balancing at the July ARL and going forward, right? And I agree about defense, and we'll see when we go, like, we cover the rest of the alliance compositions, but I agree. I think you're looking at probably that third robot as more of a just hoarder, game piece pusher, get things across the field, and we've seen that there are really effective robots that do that. Even tank drives. So I think that we're not going to see too much defense, if any. If we see any defense, it's probably going to be like an opportunistic defense, right? Like, you're driving one way, your opponent's driving the other, and you kind of know that they're a little bit iffy when they hold a game piece, and you kind of give them a love nudge, right, on the midfield line or something, right? That's a little bit of an opportunistic defense, where it's kind of a hybrid. Like, I'm still playing offense, but I'm gonna knock you on my way in and see if I can jar that piece loose, because that's if I do, right, huge defense play, right? Okay, so diving back into the bracket and finishing this up, right? I have the second seed 1165 taking 6413. And it for the exact same reason why I had 2403 taking 6479. I think that the teams that can solo a high link are going to be at a premium at this ARL. So if you look at 2403, look at 6479, similar makeup in the fact that they could solo a high link. 6413, Degrees of Freedom, can also solo a high link. They are tank drive, which is why I have them, unless something's changed, they are tank drive. And so that's why I have them going as the second pick to the second seed captain rather than the first pick to the first seed captain. For 498, that's the third seed captain, I have them picking up 2478 for, again, similar, almost the same exact reason. They can also, when they're at their best, and if things are all working, so maybe, I'm hoping things have maybe sorted themselves out, but they can also score cones and cubes, on all levels. So I think teams early, right, even if the order isn't correct here in my prediction, which it's not, I think that teams are going to prioritize soloing a high link, right, especially early in the draft. And to round out the fourth captain, I have Launch Team picking 3944. Launch Team is very solid at cubes, and at least at the last event, they were a little iffy on the cones. They would drop them, right, as they were going back across the field. They would often drop them. So we're hoping that they've kind of corrected course on that. And if they have, that's great because they can also solo then a high link. They are a little bit slower, which is why I think they take 3944, who are swerve drive. And we know, again, hate to keep beating the drum on it, but 3944, never count them out, dark horse. They're always up there. They're always a part of an alliance, and they always get better and better for every event. So I expect to see them, like I said, in the first or second pick of the top four. To round everything out, we'll hit the last couple quickly here. Starting at the 4 seed, I don't have Prytronic stay on the board longer than this. Even though they are a tank drive, right, they can score cubes on all the levels, right? At Arizona, at the Arizona Regional, they were scoring cubes on all the levels. I think the thing that slowed them down the most was just cube acquisition. So maybe with a less intense field, right, than the Arizona Regional. We have their ARL event, less intense field. They can get in and out of that substation faster and get to those cubes. I think they'll be a valuable part of even just filling the bottom row. But they do have the capability of scoring high, which is why I have them going as the third pick to the 4 seed. And then the third pick of the 3rd seed, I have 8021, who I would say everyone should highlight as a team to keep on their radar. I think that 8021 makes the well, let me put it this way. The 8021 has a really great chance of going as a first pick of a captain, depending on who the captain is. Their swerve drive, they can pick up cubes from the floor, and they can score. They can score anywhere, like a high, mid, or low. The mid has a little bit less accuracy, right? Or in the high, right? They both are a little bit less accurate, but they would be a dynamite low grid filler. Like, they would get you those links. And with swerve drive and with floor pickup, it could complement a lot of our high link completing tank drives really well, right? So just something to keep, just something to highlight is 8021. So I have them going to this 3rd seed here. And to round these out, 6833 goes to the 2nd seed. We know that they missed the June event, but they're back for the July event. We know they're a machine at filling the low grid, and they do it from all-important single substation, which is very important because of some of the team makeup we have where they go other places, right, the double substation, so they can stay out of the way. I think they complement this number 2 seed really well. Right, you have 1165, whose cube scoring robot can score anywhere really effectively now, right? And you have 6413, who, yeah, sure, they're the only cone scorer on the alliance, But if 1165 gets cubes on all the high links, right? 6 cones, from 6413, maybe 1 in auto, right? So 5 cones, right? It's I mean, sure, it's on the high end, but it's certainly doable. And they go to the double substation, and while 1165 is supporting degrees of freedom with the high cubes, which they may already have 1 out of auto, so that would only be 2 more. Then 1165 and 6833, double fill the low, and you potentially triple balance, right, with all the high and all the low links filled. I think this composition in number 2 seed is pretty powerful, and I don't think it's that unrealistic. On paper, I couldn't put 6833 as they were at the May qualifier. I couldn't really put them ahead of 8021 or 3853. So I think this is I think it's a realistic alliance we're seeing. And then the number 1 seed opts for kind of what we talked about. They opt for the swerve drive, so the variability in not getting jammed up, right? Not easily jammable inside the communities, right? Because they can swerve out. And they take 2375B, a swerve drive that sole purpose is to push stuff across the field and play a little bit of opportunistic defense. Degrees of Freedom 6413B has the same kind of drivetrain set up as 2375. I mean, sure, the swerve modules themselves are different, but they don't, they're just going to push with a swerve drive. I gave the props to 2375B on this one just because they had competed at the last event. So just a little bit of experience kind of edging out the other teams. So then the W's indicate where I had, who's who winning. I definitely forgot to change. Originally I had 1165C going to number 1 seed. Please ignore. I took them off for favor of 2375B. But I could be totally wrong across the board. I do have the number 1 seed winning the whole event, but it's really hard. And actually, in my fan fiction, in my head, I have the finals going to 3 matches because I really think that number 2 seed with the combination of a high links being filled with the low being filled is really good. Like, I think it's really good, especially with the triple balance and obviously balance and auto and all that stuff. But it's really good. So that's ARL July. I'm really looking forward to it. Not just for my own team, but to see all these new robots that are being worked on, these Bs and these Cs, and teams that we haven't seen since the regionals, like 2478 and 6479. So yeah, looking forward to it. The event should run just about the same as it did last time in terms of time. Knock on all the wood you can possibly find. There shouldn't need to be phantom robots at all this time because of the team number that we have. We have enough teams that we can fill, like we have more than 18. So we use the phantom robots at last event so that we wouldn't have back-to-backs and the schedule would be all nice. So we shouldn't have any phantom robots getting in our way. So yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on ARL July? Is there something specific you're excited for? Chef, no, there shouldn't be any phantom teams. Now, shouldn't be. Phantom teams are oftentimes a game time decision. So we'll absolutely let you know during opening ceremonies if there are phantom teams because that's how we generate the match schedule. But as of right now, there should not be phantom teams. Should not. We have over 18. 18 is kind of like the number we're looking for to not use the phantom teams. Obviously, we only need 12 to run playoffs, but 18 allows us to not have back-to-back matches. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, going back to bridge balancing, yeah, sometimes at the end of the match, you kind of just have to, like, send it, hit the stick down, and hopefully it balances out. That's where having break mode is very helpful, and where having not break mode is not helpful, because if you end the match not balanced, at least you're on the bridge. But if you send it and you end the match not balanced and you are not in brake mode, you're just going to roll off and roll, who knows where. So, right. So yeah, I would suggest if you're not in brake mode, go into brake mode. Yeah, dude, I'm really looking forward to seeing 11, like the amount of work you guys are putting in. Again, if you haven't seen, some of the 1165 progress, highly suggest you head on over to the Arizona Robotics League Discord and you check out the updates Chef has shared with us. 3 robots, and not just 3 robots, but like 3 robots doing distinct things. I'll tell you, it's very impressive. Even if like the robots themselves aren't they don't win, right? Like the fact that you have 3 robots and they're doing distinctly different things, like distinctly different designs, like it's really cool. It's really cool. So you can also use, by the way, you can use our ARL Discord to connect with our lead robot inspectors and our head ref and our FTA. So if you have any questions going to this event about your bumpers or about a motor or about a radio or a software, you should feel free to toss that into the Discord somewhere, and we can help connect you with the LRI or, like I said, the FTA or the head ref. Yep. Okie doke. Well, I don't know. What else? What else can we talk about? We could take a real quick look-see before we dive into some completely off-topic history of Arizona FRC for the remaining 15 minutes. But let's take a quick look at the champs rankings after the last event. So this is after 2 events. We have 2403, clearly the number 1 spot with 94 points. Right behind them, 7703, 498, 991, 6413, 6388, 7755, and 1165. What's really cool about these rankings is all 8 teams except for 991 will be competing this weekend. So all of them will be competing in their second event. 7703 will be competing in their third event. So 7703 on this screen, they have 52 because that's their 2 events combined, right? Everyone else has only competed in 1. So we will see a pretty big shift in the rankings after this event. All these teams getting their second event points added. It would take an extreme effort from 6413 or 6388 to overtake 2403 in the rankings. In fact, I think it's impossible. Someone, Argeo in chat might have to correct me on that one, but I think it's impossible. The only number 1 seed overtake we could see is if 498 repeats in the same manner, same ranking score, or higher ranking score, but wins the event as a number 1 seed. We will see them jump 2403 in the rankings. But everyone else, 2403 is pretty much safe from everybody else. I guess unless 7703 has a fantastic performance, that could get them a lot higher. But for the most part, the number 1 seed is pretty safe. Only 1 team can jump up. And then, as usual, we are actively running our Arizona Robotics League Top 5. You can think of this as, if you're familiar with First Updates Now, they do the Top 25. This is the same thing, but it's Arizona Robotics League related, and it's Top 5 only. So there is a Google form that's in the Discord. You can go there and you can put in who you think are the top 5 teams active currently, right, in ARL. I've been polling the numbers, right? Every now and then I'm getting more and more coming in, and usually I get a wave of them before and after events, obviously. So the overall rankings have not changed since the last event. So we have 2403 number 1, 498 number 2, 991 number 3, 6413 number 4, and 7703 number 5. Again, 4 of these 5, sans 991, are competing this weekend. So I am looking forward to seeing how this shakes out. All right, so I only really got a few. We got a few robots. I don't know. Let's peruse these. I'm not the oldest. I'm not the oldest person in Arizona FRC. I haven't been around the longest, but at least of the years being put in chat, I was at least able to look at those robots. So I guess sans 2008, but I've watched a lot of 2008 videos, so I guess I can keep up there. So let's just pick a year. Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do this every episode, and then we'll have a dedicated episode for other things. But let's just pick a year, and let's dive in. I don't know what are our favorite. What's our favorite FRC year in the last? I don't know. What year is it? 10 years. What's our favorite game? 2013, 2014, 2015. It's probably not 2015. I noticed no one put their favorite 2015 robots. What's up with that? I don't know if it's Adam. It's pretty close. And by Adam, we mean Adam Schroyer, lead mentor on 498. And we're talking about tenure in Arizona FRC. I don't think it's Adam. I think maybe a mentor on 60 has him beat. Yeah. When they do the mentor parade, it's not just Adam with that sign that says 20 plus or whatever. 2015 is not the best, Judah. No. Okay. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. It's just wrong. So that's tough. That's tough. 2015, like, I suppose if you're talking about cool robots, 2015 it's possible. Oh, Adam with the knowledge drop. Rob Maneri, yeah, you're right. George first. That's who I was thinking of. Don Knight and George. Yeah. Boom. So where do you fit in then, Adam? Are you behind all four of those, or are you just like tied with all of them? In 2015, we don't talk about. What I was gonna say is that 2015, like, if you're just talking about like cool robots, there are cool robots in 2015, right? Like, just like, like the Ford factory, the robots that build cars are cool. It's just boring, just like 2015. Yeah, exactly, right? The robots themselves are cool, right? They're very process oriented. I'm gonna do the same thing again, over and over again. And right, no defense, no bumpers, being able to be like no frame perimeter, so you could have two different parts of your robot. We can stay out, not to dive. We're diving into 2015. But if anyone remembers, in 2015, 1212 had two robots. They were literally, a la 148 style, right? 148 team in Texas. 1212 also had two robots that were tethered together. I don't think it was as effective as they hoped it would be, but it was an awesome design. It was cool. It was cool to see when it worked. Listen, I didn't know I was trying to think of some kind of manufacturing plant, because that's what 2015 is. So I just went with Ford. I don't know why Ford was in my head, but it was. All right, let's pick a year that's not 2015. Let's move away from the 2015 talk. We're gonna curse our July event this weekend. Let's dive in. Let's take. Why don't we start from the top? Let's take 2013. I don't know. Right? I'm not touching that one. I'm not. Cease and desist sounds like a robot name in 2015. So I'm not touching that one. 2013, right? Ultimate Ascent. We played with frisbees. 3 different goals, 3 different point values. Does anyone remember 18? Is it 1828? What's the boxer bots? 1828, 1828, 1848, 18. Was it? But anyway, the boxer bots in 2013 literally had a dump truck. Tommy Three Shoes knows. Boxer bots had a dump truck for a robot, and they would just dump the frisbees into like the trunk, and they would drive across the field and they would just like push them all into the 1-point goal. 1828, yeah. That was a fun robot from, and it's even funnier, right? Because the boxer bots were sponsored by Caterpillar, right? So they literally, the robot looked like a dump truck. You lost. I was getting away from the 2015 talk. I just listen. Judah brought it up. I gave it its due diligence on air, and now we'll never talk about it again until next week when we deep dive 2015 part 2. Okay, so 2013 favorite robots. I think Chef nailed it at the top, right in chat earlier. 842 had a banger robot. It was awesome. There's, in terms of Arizona robots from 2013, there are two, at least in my head, that really stand out, and it's for opposite reasons. Wait, Tommy Three Shoes, are you gonna come on the show? You've been in chat since day one. We don't even know who you are. You're gonna come on the show? You're gonna be a special guest? Oh, you're not gonna watch. Oh. Hey, listen, if anyone wants to come on the show, clearly it's lonely around here. I wouldn't, I can banter with anyone next Wednesday. We can go down some tangent. More than happy to. Okay, so the two robots in 2013 that stand out to me the most were 842 and 1726 for different reasons. 842 because of that insane climb. I wonder, let me see if I can find that climb. See if I know Freddie had a video of it on YouTube at one point. See if I can find this climb. I don't know if anyone hasn't seen. Yeah, there's a ton of fail videos for sure. It was super complicated. The 2013 climb was super complicated, but it was awesome. And it's okay. So they have a release video, which 842 like never had a release video. So like this is pretty cool. You knew they thought they had a banger here. All right, here we go. Caution in 2013. Okay, we'll get there. Slow your roll, Tommy Three Shoes. We're getting there. All right, this is 842 in 2013. It's really cool. I don't know if anyone watched Einstein this year, but FRC 33, the Killer Bees, also had a extremely similar design on Einstein. It was kind of nicknamed the pizza box, right? They could pick up from the floor and shoot with the same device because it would bring the frisbees back and kind of drop them or push them into a hopper, and then it would shoot out the same way it came in, right? It's a very, very cool design. But the 842 design took that a few steps further, right? I mean, this climb is crazy, right? Like, you're kind of doing the whole swinging thing. I will say it looks slow here, but in 2013, this was, like, really fast. This was really fast. And it got faster by champs, right? And it went all the way up, and they could still score, I believe they could still score the colored frisbees. I don't know if they do that here at the end of the video. Okay, they got one after bouncing off each other. So that's 842 in 2013. Yeah, extremely legendary robot. It won the Arizona regional. Well, Judah, that video I had up just now was a robot reveal. Plasma usually has robot reveals, or at least they did in the past. 1011 had a robot reveal 1 year. Who else did robot reveals? I think the Coconuts had a robot reveal one time. It's not super common in Arizona, probably because we're all still working on our robots. Another, like I said, the nerds read a really cool robot in 2013, 1726. Because their robot was like all wood, and it was super simple. I remember it like very distinctly. In 2018. Yeah. 498 has had one. You're right. You could actually go on the 498 YouTube right now and find it. I believe. Thank you, Chef. 1726 robot in 2013 was really cool because it was made out of wood for the most part, and so it was just very simple, and at least in my time at Arizona FRC, I was very conditioned to showing up to Arizona regionals. It was only my third year in 2013. It was my first year as a mentor. And so I was very conditioned to showing up to Arizona events and just seeing the out-of-state team win. So 2013 was really cool to me because the nerds ranked 1 and picked 842 and they won the event, which was really cool. Let's see. Tommy Three Shoes dropping. It's really hard to say your name. Tommy Three Shoes. 1492. Team Caution in 2013. Let's see if we can find a video of theirs. Let's check. Let's see. I found one. I do wish that Arizona FRC history had a little bit better video representation, like not video of a screen. Yes, 4183 was also wood in 2013. Yeah, their best wood robot. Going back to 2015, 4183, the Bit Buckets won the Arizona Regional, or one of the Arizona Regionals in 2015 with the wood robot from not the 1 seed. Big upset in finals, was awesome. We can dive into that on our very special Recycle Rush episode coming next week. All right, so this is a video of our video. That's cool. There we go. All right. There's Steve Sangi with some Caution hat on. All right, we're still doing team intros. Let's see if we can get to the part where Caution scores points. According to Tommy Three Shoes, Caution was a banger. Rumor is they lit that all wood on a fire. So here's Caution. So they made their auto shots. The camera is panning. What's up, Ian? Love you. Oh, dude, you're right, Tommy Three Shoes. I remember this. Yeah. How that thing like popped out. Was it sprung? Oh, all right. Well, it was awkward. They did miss. Was it sprung? Was it like I wonder if it was a frame perimeter thing and they just needed it to open because it doesn't retract again, right? It stayed open the whole time. Let's go back to the beginning. So it's definitely closed now, right? It's definitely closed. And then they kind of, yeah, it springs out. So it must have been like a piece of string or something. Classic FRC technique where we hold it inside the frame perimeter with just a piece of rope or something, and then when the match starts, we spring it out, and it just flails out there. 2486, not to change the subject, but 2486 also was able to climb to the top of the pyramid this year, and that was very cool. Is that 1164? Who is that? Oops. Is that an Arizona team? But I can't remember. 1164. Was that an out-of-state team? I do, yeah. It's kind of very similar this year, right? Like, I enjoy the games where the human players can safely get up and close to the action. Oh, interesting. 11. Yeah, okay. Yo, we're bringing up the Tucson tussle. We're in deep. We need to get out. I need to get out. We're not bringing. Let's not go. Let's not go down the Tucson Tussle route. Oh no. Play me out. Play me out, Interstellar. Interstellar soundtrack. Please play me off. I have no idea. I guess I literally have this open. Sorry for those of you who are following along. Project Neo, they're still wrong. It says they play in Texas districts. What is the Tucson Tussle, you ask? I don't remember if it was tied to... Oh my god, it was. Okay. Well, the Tucson Tussle happened in 2013. It was the... Yeah. Yeah, Tucson Tussle was, like, the first, like, off-season... so 10-11 started Tucson Tussle in 2013, and it was the first off-season where we, like, that Arizona, like, brought a field in. It was a whole mess. Trust me. Learned a lot. And then the following 2 years? Why do I remember one in 2015, or am I crazy? What happened to the event? It's very expensive, Judah. It was really, really expensive. 10-11 spent, like, I mean, it was a crazy amount of money to get the field shipped in. And the school 10-11 was at, or isn't super, it's a charter school, so it's not super, like, yeah, so the Tucson Tussle happened 3 times. I remember 2015 being the last year. Optimal did take the name and start hosting an off-season the following 2 years. At a high school. Was it in Marana? I thought it was, like, not that anyone knows Tucson City. So prior to, I'm going to bust out the old 10-11 chairman's essay when I was a student. Yeah, prior to 2013, 10-11 hosted Robo Olympics, which was like Robot Olympics in Tucson, which was like push a bowling ball into bowling pins, things like that. Tucson Tussle was like the beginning of inspiration for, like, we need more off-season events. Yeah. That was Marana High School. Yeah. Tucson Tussle was fun. The problem with Tucson Tussle and why ARL is having so much more success is that Tucson Tussle in its name was in Tucson, and the 85% of FRC teams in Arizona are in the Phoenix metro area. So that's weird. Sorry that the Tucson Tussle inspired that conversation on the way back. That is awkward. I don't recommend. Tucson Tussle was kind of like was like a seed, right, for ARL. I agree. It was a fun name. It had a cool logo. It was a saguaro. And the volunteer shirts were cool. They were like turquoise. Mine doesn't fit me anymore because I got larger. But I do love that shirt very much. Wow. Didn't know I was gonna go down memory lane here. Thanks, Tommy Three Shoes. The Tucson Tussle. If I Google it on... You might be able to see it in this video on 1165's account. You might be able to see it here. I can't make this full screen, can I? But this was the high school. This is 1165's robot. So it was very small. Like, we had bleachers that you had to wheel in. Yo, here's the deal. Do you have the 20... Because you won all three. You have the 2013 trophies? Those trophies, like, were handmade. I don't know what they did for the other ones. I don't remember. But we handmade those trophies in 2013. Those were cool. Those are cool trophies. Were they welded? I can't remember. I'm getting Robo Olympics and Tucson Tussle confused. They were either welded together, or they were like, The 2013 ones are really cool. 2013 ones are really cool. I was hoping this video of the climb would have the volunteer shirts somehow in here so I could show them, but I don't see them. See if there's anything else. This is from when they had it at Palo Verde. This is 2015. And the volunteer shirts, I don't even know. There's Nate. Whoa. Wow. Look at everybody. All right, well, I don't think there's anything from 2013. So, tough. No, they did fall apart. That's too bad. That's too bad. I'm not logged in. I'm running long here. If you go to, I wonder how far back some of these accounts go. You could certainly see some history on 1011 social accounts if you really wanted to deep dive back. I believe the Facebook 1011 account probably is the most likely spot to see Tucson Tussle stuff. Yeah, the Instagram only goes back to 2016. I remember the chef as the human player in 2015, actually, as a drive coach for 1011. I remember yeeting the pool noodles. I remember that. All right, well, I can't find it. I give up. But if you really cared, do I miss doing FRC? I still do FRC. As a student. No. I don't. No. I get a lot more enjoyment out of mentoring than I did as a student. I miss being able to, like, I miss doing, like, crazy student things. I miss, like, begging our lead mentor to let us stay in the shop on a Wednesday night till, like, 2 a.m. I miss that. I think, like, 2012 build season, our high school had our clocks didn't have covers on them, so you could manually turn the minute and the hour hand. And when our lead mentor went out of the room, we turned the time back manually on the clock. And so we like eked out in like an extra 3 hours before he realized. It was crazy. It was like 2 a.m. and he thought it was 11. It was fun. No, 2015 was not good. No. We have also, if you haven't cooked something with a heat gun, you're not doing it right. That's also a kind of like a rite of passage. We've also attempted that. Yeah. Alrighty, folks. We have gone over time, although I'm actually very much enjoying this conversation. So maybe we'll do this more. Maybe at the end of our, like the warm up episode or the warm up episode and the extra innings episode next week, we'll kind of, I don't know, just hang out and chat about FRC for a bit. Maybe it's not always just, maybe we have some historical figures on as well that kind of talk about Arizona FRC history or just our experiences as students or as mentors. But it's been a lot of fun. I did not think I was going to talk about the Tucson Tussle tonight, so I'm gonna check that one off the bucket list. But kind of play myself out here. We talked about it already, but this weekend, the 28th and 29th, is the July qualifier, open to the public. Cactus High School. Be there or be behind next season. LOL. And then next week, next Wednesday week from today, we'll have our extra innings episode. So looking forward to seeing everyone back in chat then. I guess that's it. My name is Luke. I'm one of the ARL program directors, and I had a really great time tonight. Really looking forward to this weekend. If any of the attending teams, when the event is over on Saturday, want to hang out and help us tear down the field or pick up trash and things like that, you're more than welcome. Would love your help. Helps us get out of there faster. I definitely forgot to mention that early on. But alrighty, folks. Have a great night. Have a great rest of your week. Looking forward. I don't even know where that volunteer shirt is. I might be in a box somewhere, but I'll look for it. Alrighty, folks. Have a great night. See you later. Peace.